everybody, and welcome back to the channel. And it's something that has caught my attention, something that's caught quite a few Liverpool fans' attention as well, especially on X in the last couple of hours, is that Ryan Cherki could be joining Liverpool in the winter, as per Fabrizio Romano. Report read that Liverpool are still pursuing the 21-year-old France international and are looking to, they're not against the deal. And it's a player that Liverpool have touted and scouted for quite some time, somebody that was on Liverpool's radar, not only in January, but in the summer. And I'm sure a lot longer than that as well, especially considering the fact his age is 21 years old and he's very, very young. And I think he's a player that's very, very versatile, that the footballing people at Liverpool, especially Michael Edwards, who's head of FSG's footballing operations, would be very, very impressed with his, kind of his ability to play in different positions. Play as a 10, he can play, I think, as a number 8. He can play as a second striker. He can play just off the striker. He can play on either wing. And this versatility and this flexibility of positions is what, the footballing people at Liverpool like. And we saw it time and time again with the players that were signed under Jurgen Klopp. The likes of Sadio Mane, the likes of Mohamed Salah, the likes of Roberto Firmino just before Jurgen Klopp. But again, his positional flexibility was an added bonus to what was already a decent Liverpool attack at the time. But adding Salah and Mane to that made an even more incredible. Luis Diaz as well, another one of those players that can play on either wing centrally, as we've seen this season under Arne Slot. And Darwin Núñez. Darwin Núñez is a bit different. You can see that he's a type of forward that can either just play centrally, and he plays well off the left as well. And you could tell that's not a signing that, Michael Edwards and co would make. Kind of like he's very, very expensive. He is young and he does have room to improve as a player, but he misses a load of chances. And that's not really a profile that Liverpool target. They target players between 23 and 25, 26 in the age bracket of 23 and 25 with the price budget of around £40 million. You can see not only with the attackers, but some of the midfielders that have been brought in under Jurgen Klopp fitted that similar mold. Alexis McAllister, Dominic Szoboszlai was a bit more expensive, 70 odd million, but maybe he's not a good example. Ryan Gravenberch is a better example, 35-40 million, I think is a decent little player. Maybe not the profile of player that would have been signed under Michael Edwards and co, but I'm talking about the age gap and the price, and he fits that mold quite well. You look at Federico Chiesa, I think he is more of a gamble, but you can then say 16 million or whatever he was is not really a gamble when the player is shown his quality not only in previous years but in the summer as well. And obviously Jota as well can play either wing and centrally. But let's not make this about Liverpool's forwards. Let's make this about one of the forwards that Liverpool, or midfielders that Liverpool are looking to add, and that's Ryan Cherki. And like I said before, he is a good player, and I've been keeping a closer eye on him, and he looks very, very sharp. And particularly in the bigger games, you look at the game against Paris Saint-Germain, he was able to get an assist in 66 minutes. And although his statistics for the seasons may not look great, but I'm sure Liverpool will be looking at more than just his goals and assists. You look at Arne Slot and how much he's kind of spoken about the duels and how much tackles you're supposed to win. And per 90, Ryan Cherki wins 85.7% of his kind of his tackles. And for a player like that to do that shows his tenacity, his work rate. He wins 6.21 duels per 90. And for an attacking midfield player that we kind of associate with Ryan Cherki to be, if he's winning that many duels per 90, he's definitely somebody that would fit well in the Arne Slot mold. And you look at the physical players that Liverpool already have in the midfield. Ryan Gravenberch is very, very tall. Maybe he needs to bulk up a bit, but he's very, very tall, and his long legs allow him to win so many duels, which is why his interceptions and his tackle success rate is one of the highest in Europe and in the Premier League. Szoboszlai, his running power, his engine, his ability to carry the ball from midfield, his power, his strength, his ability to shoot, all molded into one brilliant attacking midfield player who could also play as a number 8, is the kind of powerful midfielders that thrive in systems like this and systems under Jurgen Klopp. You look at the likes of Gini Wijnaldum, who's a bit shorter, but is very, very strong, very, very good on the ball, can progress the ball very, very well. Ryan Cherki might not be of that same mold, but from what I've seen, his progressive carries are very, very impressive. His ability to pass the ball is very, very impressive. And successful passes per 90 is very, very high. And you look at expected assists per 90, 0.33. Ultimately, what I'm looking at here is a player that's, he's fresh. He's very, very fresh and has massive rooms for improvement. And playing in a team which are excelling in the Premier League under a coach who works with young players, and we've seen what he's done with Ryan Gravenberch, this is a no-brainer signing for Liverpool. He's going to cost under £20 million. He's in the age bracket of 23 to 25, even younger than 23. Let's shift it a bit back. He's 21 years of age. Vastly experienced footballer. He's got a couple of seasons under his belt, and he's been linked with some of the best clubs in Europe. And Fulham are very, very unlucky to not secure his services. He was on the brink of joining Fulham. Borussia Dortmund were after him as well. And I look at teams like this, Dortmund, who are some of the best scouting in Europe comes from Dortmund. You look at some of the players that have come from Borussia Dortmund. It's unbelievable. But Lewandowski's obviously the standout one, but you look at clubs that are looking at players like this, and that this is a very, very talented footballer. And Michael Edwards and Co.'s talent identification over the last couple of years has been really, really good. And we saw that when Klopp wanted to sign Brandt, and we ended up getting, Sadio Mane, Salah, and Gelson Martins, and we got Mo Salah. So it's happened quite a few times that Klopp has been able to coach these players into ridiculous animals. I'm not saying Brandt and Gelson Martins wouldn't have done that at Liverpool, but you see where their careers have gone and where Salah and Mane's have gone. It's kind of night and day. But also, you can add the fact that maybe if they were in Liverpool's team, they'd look a lot better because they're under a better coach. And that's a very, very fair argument. But with Rayan Cherki, 21 years of age, he's very, very raw, but he's also very, very talented, can play across the front three, can play in the midfield, very physical. I think the only thing that Liverpool would be looking at, and the only way I can see this deal not happening, is his injury record. Now, in 2022, he broke his foot, which ruled him out of action for almost 6 months. That ended his season in February. But other than that, he very rarely misses games. He plays quite a few games. Even last season, he played 33 odd games in Ligue 1 in 22-23. Very, very similarly, played 34. And it was a 21-22 season where he played 16 matches, and you saw he played half the season. And that injury was so, detrimental to him. But he's obviously managed to bounce back from that at a very, very young age. And obviously, look at Liverpool's attackers. Darwin Núñez is one of the players that, did his ACL very, very young, and he seemed to be okay. Some may argue, he misses a load of chances, but I don't think that's nothing to do with ACL. I think he still has his pace. He still has his tenacity. Look at Virgil van Dijk. Virgil van Dijk did his ACL a couple of years ago. Florian Wirtz, another serious injury, and he looks an unbelievable player at a very, very young age. And obviously, ACL was the worst injury for a footballer to get, along with a broken leg. And these players have been able to bounce back. So I don't know why Liverpool would consider that. But I also get it as well because, not every player reacts the same to coming back from injury. But Rayan Cherki looks fine. He looks really, really impressive every time I watched him play. And a very, very versatile attacker that in a very doable deal for Liverpool. And I think even if it doesn't work out, I think Liverpool very, very easily make their money back. And we've seen some of the sales under Edwards' regime. Obviously, the sporting director now is Richard Hughes. But we've seen some of the sales made under Edwards' watchful eyes. Danny Ings for about 20 million, Dominic Solanke for 20 million, Jordan Ibe for 20 million. They got 25 odd million for Sepp Vandenberg and 25 million for Fabio Carvalho. You look at some of these sales that Liverpool have been able to make for players that are basically on the fringes at the club. It's unbelievable. And Spurs paid 6 or 7 or 8 million pounds to Liverpool for the sale of Solanke. So he even inserted that into the clause to get more money back for Liverpool. So you can see why Fenway Sports Group would love having somebody like Michael Edwards as their kind of head of footballing operations, because he's basically a money-making machine, isn't he, Edwards? And that's his job, and he's done it very, very well. And obviously, he's brought in a sporting director that he once was at Liverpool, and he's brought in Richard Hughes. And obviously, he's kind of struggling to get things correct at the moment. Obviously, the contract situation with Salah, Van Dijk and Co. not being able to get Zubimendi over the line. A quite disappointing summer window for Liverpool. But one thing if you want to give them some credit, is that they also introduced Arne Slot to this football club. And Arne Slot has been an absolute revelation, one of the best fits I've ever seen for a football club. And maybe at very, very early days, but the signs are very, very impressive. So if they can get this deal over the line in an age bracket of very, very young, he's 21, very raw, has a potential to be very, very good. It's a very low risk deal and high reward. And then again, if it doesn't work out, you get your money back. So Liverpool can't lose in this situation. And I think this is a deal we should be looking at. Liverpool should be looking at, especially to add more depth to that front three, because I think there's a lot of front five, I should say, as well, because Liverpool play with a 10 and one midfielder that presses really, really high at times, or it's the fullback. But this is a deal Liverpool should be doing. I think there's a lot of futures, a lot of sorry, a lot of scrutiny around the futures of Jota, Nunez, Salah, Diaz to Barcelona. Jota's injury record, Nunez apparently not being fancied by Arne Slot in terms of his play style, Salah's contract situation, and the only really one you have left is Cody Gakpo and Federico Chiesa. There's been many reports that he's been unhappy at Liverpool, but that seems to be thrown away a bit. But you look at the attackers, there's a question mark on most of those, bar Cody Gakpo and maybe Federico Chiesa, but this is definitely somebody that Liverpool should be looking to not attack. Somebody Liverpool should be looking, a deal that Liverpool should be looking to attack very, very quickly before some of the bigger clubs in Europe, your Bayern's, Paris Saint-Germain. So I think we might be looking at him, very, very young team, young manager. They've got some young players coming through. Kvaratskhelia, Barcola, Dembele's a bit older, but you can see João Neves, the mold that PSG are heading down. I think he could fit that. If Arsenal get a sniff of him, maybe. But I think this is a deal Liverpool should do very, very quickly and act on very, very quickly, because it's a very doable deal. And I think, if you want my opinion on this deal, do I think it gets done? I think this deal gets done. I think if Liverpool are going to make a signing in January, it's going to be Rayan Cherki. A cheeky Cherki bid? Who knows? I guess just like you guys, and just like me, just like you, we'll find out very, very soon whether it's going to be a frantic January or a very, very quiet one. But guys, I'll see you in the next one, hopefully with some good news.